And we're live. Hey, everyone. This is Lev from Trotec. To everyone watching around the world, thank you so much for being part of this global initiative, COVID Global Webinar hosted by Trotec. If you want to give us a quick hi on the chat, let us know where you're from. I will list it. I have my co-host here, Mario from, I guess you're in Switzerland right now, right, Mario?
Yes, I am.
And,
I'm currently
Mario,
in Switzerland.
So Mario is our managing director for Spain and Latin America. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct. So hello to everyone. I'm very happy to see all of you and to share this this forum with a great audience and a great panel set up today.
So Mario, why don't you maybe give us a brief intro? I mean, how long have you been with Trotec? What is your overall, I guess, general laser experience? What do you guys do in Spain?
Perfect. Yeah, so I've been working with I have experience working with lasers for over 10 years. First off, as a manufacturer of different types of materials and applications with the machines. I used to be a distributor for Trotec based in Latin America. And just recently, at the beginning of this year, I started out as a managing director for Trotec Spain. So yeah, it's I've been very lucky to have a chance to meet a lot of great people that make up the Trotec team, and obviously the Trotec customers, and different applications and so creative stuff that people are doing with lasers nowadays.
Awesome. Okay, so I guess the way we're going to do this is we're going to bring people in as part of the panel. We have a great panel from across the world, and then we'll ask them individual questions about their business and their experience with COVID-19, and then we'll basically, after about 20-30 minutes, we'll open up the panel to everyone, and then you guys in the chat ask questions, participate. We'll try to answer them and get the discussion going. So our first guest is Jonathan Lewis from South London Makerspace. Welcome, Jonathan.
Hey, Jonathan, how are you?
Good, thank you. How are you guys?
Good. How's the weather in the UK right now?
Blue skies and sunny with about 15 degrees, so not too bad.
Okay. Perfect. So, Jonathan, if you want to basically maybe tell us about the Makerspace, how long you guys been around, whatever kind of comes to mind.
Sure. Well, I can tell you that I've been a member there for about 3 years now, but I think we were open first in 2013. And effectively, South London Makerspace is independent little makerspace, and we're kind of a social community workshop in the heart of Herne Hill in London. So the space is actually owned, run, and maintained by the members, and there are no paid staff in our makerspace. So we look after the machines ourselves. We build things in there and build the space out ourselves. And we're actually now just expanding to a second railway arch. So we tucked underneath a railway bridge in Herne Hill, which is nice and green. And we have 6 main areas of working. We do a lot of textile working, woodwork, electronics, some metal working, although we're restricted to what we can do underneath the railway arch. Lots and lots of laser cutting and screen printing.
Very cool. So it's under a railway arch.
Yes, yeah. So it used to be a disused brick arch that was full of rats and rubbish. Before we took it over, we then built a front and effectively fitted out all the electrics and plumbing required to actually have a space, including, thankfully, a toilet and a kitchen. And we then started filling it with machines and people. And now we have about 300 members from all walks of life, from engineers to people working on textiles, electronics, and everything in between.
I'm actually just trying to pull your picture here. This is what it looks like.
That's the front of our arch, yes.
Very
yeah.
Cool.
Yeah,
Awesome.
yeah. So we're now just extending to the one next door to try and bulk out our metalworking and hopefully get a nice large CNC project up and running.
So, and how long, I mean, what kind of lasers do you have? What kind of equipment? How long have you had them, if you tell our audience?
Yeah, so we only have one laser at the moment. We have a Trotec Speedy 300, which I think we've had for about 5 or 6 years now. it's a real workhorse. It's been put through its paces a lot more, I think, than it does in some other places because of the variety of users we have. So we don't have people who are constantly in charge of running the machine. What we instead have is a bunch of laser techs who support the machine and train everyone who's a member to use the machine. And once they've had basic training in what materials to use and how to safely operate the machine, then we let them at it. And so really the variety of projects that we get across our machine is just never ending. So I think you have some pictures of what some of those things might be.
Yeah, I'll share the screen. And while I'm sharing them, can you tell us, I guess this speaks to it, what type of products were you making before the pandemic?
So we don't actually make products that we sell. The members are open to making whatever they want. So there you see a laser cut map of London. There, someone's created a bust of I think their daughter, and laser cut it out of a cardboard. There you've got some festival tickets that were made on ply to make something a bit different. And then you saw a marquetry tea box that was done, which is really intricately done. So we get everything and anything under the laser, from glassware to skateboard decks and anything in between. But all the projects that go under there are generally kind of bespoke one-off products. We tend to limit the amount of kind of bulk work that we do by any one user. So we have a maximum period of 2 hours where a user can use the laser, because it is one of the most popular things in our makerspace.
Perfect. A very creative use of the materials, and I'm guessing it's really fascinating to see people with different backgrounds using the machines and all in making stuff.
Yeah. I mean, that is obviously a limited selection of pictures that you've got there, but we have leather workers and people making stamps and things as well. We actually have to limit the amount of people. Sorry, we have to limit the amount of materials people use by the fact that they don't have the knowledge. So a lot of people come up with an idea and say, "Oh, I want to use the laser for that," and we're like, "Well, that's not best used," or no, you can't put PVC in the laser, or no, you can't put circuit boards in there. So we're really good at being on top of how we manage our users, and we're lucky enough to have a discourse page that we have that's always available for the members to get hold of laser techs to ask them questions before they just go ahead and do things.
Awesome. So I guess the main question would be, how did COVID-19 affect you and the makerspace?
Well, so it's a good question. The makerspace, obviously, once restrictions came into place in London, shut its doors to all members. And because we're in a railway arch, we're kind of tucked away, so we don't have really many people walking by and coming in anyway. But straight away, the thoughts of the makers turned from, how can we make our own things, to how can we help others? So the kind of philosophy of our makerspace was really to reach out to the local community, and that's where most of our PPE is going. We're not reaching out to big organizations and necessarily hospitals, because we're not at that kind of scale. But what we are doing is reaching out to all the local community areas that are in need of PPE, and some of them are a bit unusual. They're not kind of the standard ones that would make requirements. And reach out and help those people, and obviously all of our PPE that's produced is shared with people at no expense to them. So we've raised the funds to make the PPE and produce it, and then we're giving it free of charge to the local community.
Oh, you're giving it free of charge. And how many?
Wow.
Do you have generally how many PPE
things have we produced?
Yes.
Well, so we've mainly produced laser cut visors, and they actually come from a design that's done by Smoke and Mirrors and Trotec, and I can provide more details on those later. But we've already produced 1,500 of those. That's actually the 3D printed one, which is the Verkstan Swedish design. We've done about 160 of those, and we've done about 1,500 laser cut visors of the other variety. So you'll see, the one that's being modeled by one of our members here. And that's made out of polypropylene. That's cut in a laser, and then a PVC A4 ring binder, which is just punched, that actually fits on the front, because we can't obviously chuck that on our laser. And the idea of these is really that they're quick to make and easy to assemble. So we have assembly instructions and things that can either be sent out with the objects flat pack, or we can assemble them, quarantine them for a period of time, and then send them out, obviously, to make them safer to use. and then we provide care instructions on how to look after those things as well. Unfortunately, because they are made of the types of materials that they're made of, their life is not infinitely extended. But with kind of good care and maintenance, you can use a face shield multiple times by just making sure that it's looked after.
And do you offer these designs freely for people?
Yes, we do. I mean, obviously, the 3D print that you see on screen now is available all over the web. Thingiverse is probably a good place to get it, and you can get it in a single unit or in stacks. And the one that we're using from Smoke and Mirrors, it's best to Google Nottingham Hackspace, Nottingham Hackspace UK, and they call NotHack. They share the design for this face shield. It's initially their design. We've made some subtle modifications to make it a little bit more easier to assemble. But yeah, it's open source stuff, so we're happy to share this with anyone who wants it.
Awesome, thank you so much. So I'm going to kick Jonathan out, and then because we have lots of panelists to go through, and then
it's a very global panel we have set up today.
Yes, exactly. I'm just wondering, okay, so we're going to bring in Philip Prescott from the United States. Hey, Philip, how's it going?
Hey, guys. Going well. How are you?
How are you?
Doing well, I don't think I'm going to ask everyone for the weather, so I'll just get right to it. If you want to tell us about your business, I mean, what do you guys do?
All types of custom fabrication, anything from turkey culls to medical equipment. Just runs the gamut. Depends on people's needs, but we have a lot of equipment here. So, that's prior to COVID. That's I was handling a lot of things from every facet of life.
Okay, and I mean, how did what kind of equipment do you have first of all? I mean, lasers, 3D printers.
I have about 4 lasers. One of them is a Trotec Speedy 500, which is my favorite. It's the biggest one, so it gets a lot of use. We have CNC machines, 3D printers, full arsenal of woodworking equipment and fabrication equipment. Almost anything that can be made, we make here. So yeah, this is face shield production from on the Speedy 500.
So, I mean, how did COVID affect your business? Would you say once the pandemic started?
I shut it down completely, and I dedicated all my resources to making face shields. I have a lot of friends and family in the medical industry, and I knew that it was something that I could, make a difference on. So I poured myself completely into manufacturing PPE at that point.
And I mean, do you sell the stuff? Do you give it away for free? I mean, what kind of production? I guess what kind of partnerships do you have right now?
So I run an organization called 3D for COVID, and we work with a number of maker spaces and makers all across the country. So we have a massive group of people sending in parts for face shields, and we do all of the clear section manufacturing here. So, you can see we have multiple models. Let me see. They're all based around the Prusa design. But we're working with, we have a makerspace in California who's gotten this larger top head covering design. And that's been authorized for use in the hospitals.
So are the designs available as well for free or for download?
Yeah, so all these are based off of the Prusa design from Joseph Prusa. So you can download the 3D printable headbands, which is one of these. You can print this out and laser cut we're using PETG for the shields, for the clear sections. And all of that's open source and openly available. So we are now injection molding, as you can see those boxes. Those are all injection molded parts because the laser can just create the clear section so much faster than 3D printers can create a 3D printed piece, even though we had, an army of people. So we still have those coming in, but we're also supplementing with the injection molded pieces to keep up with our output from the laser making the clear sections.
It's,
So yeah,
it's interesting how the different technologies complement each other, like the laser with the injection mold.
Yeah, it's been really great. We've been able to send out. We were able to respond quickly, and I think that was the biggest portion of this. Is there was a gap in time where nobody had anything, and so being able to respond immediately and getting that PPE to New York or Washington D.C. right at the beginning when everything was going crazy and nobody had coverage. That is, I think that made a big difference, and that's what we were trying to do. And we're still continuing. There's still a lot of the images that you just showed were from a shipment that we sent to Philadelphia because they're starting to get hit pretty hard. So we sent out 5,000 face shields to them last Friday. And that's what those pictures were from. We had a number of organizations come together. There was Maker Nexus, who was our sister group in California. They're a makerspace. We had Aerobridge. Those are the guys. They brought 5 airplanes in for us to load up and transport all that stuff to Philadelphia, like on a moment's notice. It was pretty incredible. And we had NSRN and Get Us PPE helping us get those from the makerspace to the airport and from the airport to the hospital in Philadelphia. So it was a rather large collaboration of groups working together to get that taken care of. So we've seen a great, outpouring of effort and work done by the community to get things where they need to go.
How many facials do you think you've done in total?
We're in the tens of thousands now. I can't say exactly how many. We're a maker group, and so we have separate branches. We have one in Vegas, California, here in Greenville. So we do distribution from all of those, but even our smaller individual groups, are pushing out units. It's in the tens of thousands. And now with injection molding, just the larger section of our manufacturing can do tens of thousands a week.
Interesting.
Awesome. Perfect. Well, thanks so much. So we'll come back to you, Phil. And we have Gustavo from Argentina. Hey, Gustavo, how are you?
Hi, Liv. How are you doing?
Good.
Hello,
good.
Gustavo.
Hola, Amarito. Un gusto verte.
Thank you so much for joining us. So, Gustavo, we're going to just go through a couple of questions for a few minutes, and then we'll switch people back in. Gustavo, if you want to tell us about your business in Argentina, where you're from, what you do, where in Argentina, first of all.
Yes, well, I am in Buenos Aires. I'm since 2012. We are the Trotec distributor here in Argentina, Uruguay, and Paraguay. So we have experience about our market. And now we are fighting with the COVID-19, no?
Yes, and I have actually a couple of videos of what you guys are doing. So what are you guys doing for COVID? Like to fight the pandemic?
Yes, that's diaphragms that we cut. We are making this for a TECME that is ventilators manufacturers in Argentina. Is the main manufacturer. We began cutting this since 2012, and this is.
So sorry, just to double check, you're making parts for ventilators?
Yes, we are making spare parts for ventilators. For ventilators. Sorry, the ventilators now is the main manufacturing that we are doing now because we have a big pressure to produce this kind of diaphragms in Argentina. No, we produce it 50,000 till now. February to today, up to date.
what kind of equipment, machines do you guys have in Argentina, in your
Well, we
facility?
our facility are Speedy 360. We have Riot 300. We have many speed markers because we made several industrial applications, and we have a Riot 50 and Speedy 100. This is our facilities.
A big array of machines, different models and everything. And right now they're all focused in manufacturing these COVID PPE products?
Yes, we made a network with many of our customers, especially in Uruguay and Argentina. And you can see in the pictures we made taxi dividers. We are making.
How many taxi dividers have you guys made?
Well, the customer told us about 200 taxi dividers.
And this is out of acrylic?
Yes, it's acrylic. It's sorry, it's not acrylic. It's
PET.
polycarbonate.
Yeah.
Polycarbonate.
Okay.
Polycarbonate.
Very interesting. Yeah.
And we make our customers are manufacturing face protectors also for children. You can see one of our customers, Jimena, that is really good designers, made this for the kids.
Very cool.
And of course, different protectors, handler protectors, fin. A lot of products about this, no?
Awesome. Very interesting. Thank you, Gustavo. So we're going to go to our next guest. Actually, this is Hans from Honduras.
Hello.
Hey, Hans. How are you?
Fine, and you?
Good.
Thank you for calling me.
Thank you so
Hi,
much.
Hans. How are you?
Hello, Mario.
Thank you for joining us. Unfortunately, this is all in English. So, but
Yeah,
everyone's
okay.
English is really, really great. And I think everyone, there's a good communication going. So Hans, if you want to tell us about your business, or what do you guys do in Honduras?
Well, we're the Trotec distributors here in Honduras for like 18 years now, 18, 19 years. We started using the lasers thanks to Mario. He was like my mentor in that case, right? He showed me how to do signs and stuff like that. Yeah. So since February, we are doing the PPE protection equipment. We're doing the face shields, the shields, and the aerosol boxes, which help in protecting the medical staffs when they're working on the patients, right?
Oh, these intubation boxes.
Yeah, the intubation boxes.
Very cool. And are you guys gluing them together, or just kind of pressing them together? How does that work?
Okay, I tried to glue them, and yeah, it did work. But the medical staffs, they have to use it quickly. One is holding one side and the other guy is holding the other, so they tend to rip them apart. So I designed like a system that you can drill them and use bolts to lock them into place. So it lasts like 10 times longer like that.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And what thickness of acrylic are you using for these?
3 and 5 millimeters. Yeah.
3 and 5 mil? Very cool. Yeah. Are you guys finding a deficit? Like we're getting acrylic is harder to come by in Canada. Are you finding the same in Latin America?
Okay, I'm a close friend with one of the suppliers here in Honduras of acrylic, and I'm a friend of another guy's company who produces acrylic here in Honduras. So I have a virtually unlimited supply.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And
wow, you're a lucky guy, Hans.
And from what I understand, you are one of the only people in Honduras who are making personal protective equipment, PPE?
Okay, we were the first ones. In the picture you're showing right now, this guy is called Fernando. This doctor saw my grandfather when he was on his the last year of his life, right? This is Fernando. So Fernando is one of the leading doctors who is attending COVID-19 patients here in Honduras. And he called me, hey, I really need your help with these boxes, these intubation boxes. And I told him, yeah, sure, I'll do them. I'll fabricate them. So we were the first ones to make them because these doctors reached us and told us, please, we need your help. Sure. So we helped them. And now, there's other competition making them, but like a month later, yeah.
And how many roughly PPEs were you guys making for like in the last 2 months?
Okay, we've made like 5,000 face shields,
Wow.
like 150 aerosol boxes. Well, that's until now, right? We're still fabricating them. And shields, we've made like 100 of them. The ones that we use for supermarkets and banks, pharmacies, etc., etc.
Very interesting. Okay, perfect.
Hasbro was one of the first ones to go to market with this product. Yeah, very good job.
Yeah, Hans, that's great. Okay, we're going to go to our next guest. We have Stéphane Derome from Canada. Bonjour Stéphane, comment ça va?
Bonjour Lev, ça va bien? Est-ce que tout le monde,
Bonjour
est-ce que tout le monde
Stéphane.
comprend ce que je parle en français?
That's all the French I know.
Oui.
I'll switch to English side.
Thank you so much for joining us. So Stéphane, if you want to give us a brief, info about your business, what have you been doing before COVID? How did it affect you?
To make a long story short, we've been in business more than 105 years ago. In fact, the business was established fourth generation, 1914, and we mainly involved in the OPD market, the office supply distribution market. We sell stamps like crazy, and we have a little portion of our customers are retail customers. The majority of our sales are done through the seller across Canada. Office supply, copy center, printer, print broker, and all that kind of stuff.
Very cool. So, and how did COVID affect you guys?
Oh, it's affect a lot at the beginning because we by the government's rules we have to shut down we have to lock down the enterprise. That was on May 24, but just before I left the office, we sent a document to be approved, to be authorized to continue the operation because we're making a lot of stamp for the hospital through our reseller or a couple of customers directly. So we were authorized to continue the operation as long as we were having skeleton staff. So for a couple of weeks, I was almost the only one in the shop, to answer the customer, answer to requests and quote and stuff like this. So.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
And so what kind of equipment do you guys have for producing? Well, lasers, anything?
We have we're up to 4 lasers right now. We have a Speedy 300, we have a 400, and we have a 500, and we also have a Laserati, but it's not. We don't use that to do the PPE. We use the Laserati for the rubber stamp industry. So, and we do the PPE. Well, I think we missed the first wave. I call it the wave for the PPE because at the beginning, our reseller, who's deeply involved, in the distribution to the hospital and clinic, they were asking if we can do something. We said yes, but the thing is, every time that we find a material like the PET, the PETG, or stuff like this, every time we find a solution and we came to a decent price, the company who was at a point to sell us, they said, we're running out of stock. We're running out of stock. Mm-hmm. So we concentrated our effort on the second wave. And the second wave, we're right in the middle of that. At the beginning of the second wave, it's more for our reseller now because the business just started to reopen last week. So we have like a lot of dealership calling our dealer to say, can we get visor? Can we get the PPE? Can we get the sneeze guard and stuff like this?
So now you're ramping up production.
Exactly. By the way, I got a message for Hans in the Honduras. If he wants to ship me by boat any acrylic, I'm about it.
There you go. We're making connections already. Okay,
Okay.
Good.
thanks so much.
The network is working.
Exactly. Awesome. Thanks, Stefan. Next, we have Jackson from Brazil. Hello, Jackson.
Hi, guys.
How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. Nice to see you, Mario.
Nice to see you, Jackson. How are you?
Fine.
Thank you so much for joining us. So where in Brazil are you in?
I'm in south of Brazil, very south, closer to Argentina.
South of Brazil. Perfect. So, Jackson, if you want to tell us maybe briefly about yourself, about your business, what have you guys been doing so far?
Okay. We started our business as Trotec distributors about 25 years ago. And as soon as Trotec was created, we bought one of the first engravers from Trotec. It was the year 1998. We created a second company, Solograph, that used these laser machines for producing a lot of things. And 10 years later, in 2009, we started as Trotec distributors here in Brazil.
Very cool. So if you want to give us a brief, how did COVID-19 affect your business?
Well, in March 18th, we had to close our business because the lockdown. And during this period, we was in touch with our friends that have laser engravers in different countries. And our friend Ricardo of Cielo Citan in Puerto Rico sent us some pictures and files and ideas about PPE he was producing. And as we was closed, we invited our co-workers, yes, to start producing such materials here in Brazil. Then we developed a family of products. In the first and second week, we donate all the products we did. And as we see, it's like a big potential for starting working again. We open for the market, then we are here.
Interesting. And how many, I mean, off the top of your head, PPE products did you guys make so far?
Well, we are mainly producing now face shields, but we already produced desk shields and accessories for not touching the places to avoid putting the hands in the doors and buttons. Other products we produced plates and like this you are showing now.
Like signage, COVID signage.
Yes, and to report federal rules for now, not for this time.
And how many shields do you think you've manufactured thus far, Jackson?
Mario, I think between 4,000 to 5,000 face shields. Yes, but we have two different projects. One project uses acrylic and PETG, and the second face shield use only PETG. This film is showing the production during the lockdown of acrylic being cut laser, and here a 3D machine we use it too in the very beginning to produce the part of the
visor.
And I see you guys have a lot of equipment. What kind of lasers do you guys, lasers, 3D printers, what kind of stuff do you have in Brazil?
In my company, we have one Speedy 500, two Speedy 300 Flex, one Speedy 100, two Pro Markers, and one R500 in production. But we have other equipments. We have router machines, we have typography, sublimation, hot stamping. But the last few years, we are driving the business to have only laser systems.
Mm-hmm. Perfect. Okay, well, thank you so much. We're going to go to our next guest. We have Remo from South Africa. Hey, Remo, how are you?
Very well, thanks. And yourself, Liv?
Remo,
Mario.
How are you?
Thank you so much for joining us. So you are the sole representative for the continent of Africa. No pressure there.
Yeah, apparently so. Thank you. Thanks for having me, though. I'm honored to be here.
No, we really appreciate it. So, Remo, if you want to tell us about your business.
Well, our company's called Tidy Cables. It's a pretty much a family-run business, which has been running for the past 19, 20 years. And really, we specialize in wiring application solutions, from cable ties to cable markers in all different types of materials, stainless steel, aluminium, traffolite. We also deal with junction boards and boxes, fiber trays, wiring terminals, et cetera, spiral wrapping. The list goes on. We hold the agency for Panduit, which is obviously an American brand of cabling and wiring applications for Southern Africa. And but we also offer generic versions as well, because obviously, Panduit being high end and very often our exchange rate is not very favorable for most of the businesses in South Africa. It's very, very, very difficult to compete very often. So obviously you have to look for cheaper alternatives as well. And that's really pretty much what we are.
Okay. And how did COVID-19 affect you guys in South Africa?
Gosh, I think it's affected us quite severely. In fact, we've been closed down since I think it was the 21st of March that we've been closed down, and only for the past week our levels have gone a little bit in reverse. So level 4 is really, level 5 is a complete lockdown, and we're now on level 4. But I think it's very, very unknown in terms of what can really be open and what can't be open, and how product and material can be shifted and freighted, and so there's huge amounts of uncertainty as to what companies need to do to reopen, which is why one of the reasons why we just went ahead and, besides pulling your hair out while you're sitting at home doing nothing and going crazy and panicking about how the business is going to be post lockdown, you need to try and reinvent yourself and see what it is that you can do to either help the situation in your country, as well as to try and generate some additional income where possible as well. Try and assist your client base, which is obviously your bread and butter, to try and get them to open up again. And what is it that you can assist them with in terms of PPE equipment to try and help get them up and running again. And hence we were able to do that, and you obviously had to make application to get a certificate to be able to trade, and we did do that, and we've pretty much been doing that for approximately the past 3 weeks.
So you needed a certificate as well for it to be like an essential business in South Africa?
That is correct. And currently we supply a lot of engineering firms who ultimately are supplying a lot of the mines, etc. in South Africa. And we don't really deal directly with those mines, but we deal with the installation companies, mechanical, electrical engineering firms, etc. That's the main part of our client base. But a lot of those, they aren't really in full operation just as yet as well. So it's I think we've got a long road ahead of us. And, so we're just trying to do something a little bit different just to stay sane during this whole process.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much, Remo. Yeah, we're actually going to talk more about what to do in the future once we open up the panel. So our final guest, I had to wait for 40 minutes. Sorry, Matthias. Matthias from Germany. Welcome to the webinar.
Hi, guys.
So, Matthias, where in Germany are you from?
I'm in the greater Stuttgart area, in the north part of Stuttgart.
In Stuttgart? Okay, perfect. So if you want to tell us a little bit about your business.
Yeah, my small family company active in Germany and parts of Europe. In the fields of timber construction, custom-made products, displays, wooden advertising materials, signs, lettering, graphics, and the development of new products. Yeah. We make a lot of things, and we are happy in the Trotec family.
Perfect. And so how did COVID-19 affect you guys, affect your business?
COVID-19 are really crazy. It is positive, but it's a lot of stuff we do in the last 6 weeks. We did make the sneeze guards only. You see it in the pics. And we make more than 1,500 square meters of this materials, PETG. And we make this for Ministry of the Interior, city administrations, hairdressers, nail studios, butchers, retailers, medical practice, and many more. And we still make it. And I think at the moment, this part of this sneeze guards, maybe it is
I even
a billion market.
These guards between hairdressers. That's pretty. Wow. That's crazy.
And we have looked for some modulars to fix this walls and make all individual. And the guys are happy.
And what kind of? So it's mostly PETG and acrylic that you're using.
Only PETG because maybe it is the it is the most best for the disinfection to clean it. Yeah. Here you see big office rooms. Sorry, my English is not the best.
No, it's perfect. You're doing well.
Here you see a big station. They make the with the cameras.
So and, how many of these kind of products and shields, like, would you say you've done so far?
At the moment, I think more than 1,500 or 2,000.
Wow.
Yeah, we have a lot of police stations in the federal state where I live, and
so it's been you're able to stay in business because of this.
Yeah. I think we can say here in my location we can go to the third wave. The first wave, it was the first rescue for system parts, police, doctors, pharmacy, all system, only the system. And the second wave was the shops, the butchers, it's for the system too. But now the restaurants, they did have a really big problem. I think there we have a lot to do. And this market are totally crazy. But I think I can only speak for the German companies here. Many companies in Germany are waiting maybe 5 or 6 weeks, and they create design products for the sneeze guards. And no company needs design. That's what's the name? What's the name for it?
So every company would want these kind of these shields.
Yeah, but they make design.
Right.
Company needs design at the moment.
I see. I see.
Design when you when you make really nice and it's really cool, and no company needs this, and the money, they don't have the money for it, and it's not normal at the moment. I don't know, is it in other countries too? We have a lot of corona taxes on the top of the normal prices. It's
really?
Not normal. It's not normal. Yeah.
Wow.
So many hairdresser or you can pay your money 8 weeks later or 10 weeks later. We want to help everyone.
I see. Perfect. Well, thank you so much, Mateus. So with that, I'm going to open up our panel discussion. So I'm going to bring in a couple of you guys here. So if anybody's outside that wants to jump back in. So I guess the first question, we had a number of questions from people that if you guys are in the chat now, you can ask questions and we'll include those questions there as well. So I guess, sorry, I'm just getting a little bit of a echo from somebody. I think it's, if you guys want to mute your mics just a little bit. What type of customers buy PPE from you? So we talked about, governments, we talked about hairdressers. I mean, what are you guys seeing?
Well, if I could just come in, I think absolutely everybody's going to be using them. I don't think it's going to be, from our perspective, be able to go back into the workplace without protective wear over your face, whether it be a mask or whether it be a shield. I think certain individuals will cope better with a shield as opposed to a mask. Some people wear both. I've seen people walking around with spacesuits at the moment. That's quite crazy. But I don't think this is going away anytime soon. And I think that's for the foreseeable future in most countries. I can speak of obviously South Africa specifically. We only due to hit our peak in about September. And if businesses are to reopen, then absolutely every single person is going to be having to take the necessary precaution, in the workplace. And so, these shields and masks and are going to be here for a long time.
Definitely. And there's going to be more demand as businesses start to reopen, and we feel that. So yes, we're going to see more demand for the shields, and there's a lot of work to be done still.
Yeah, Mario, you actually, I know you guys in Spain are doing, talking about branding on the plexiglass, on the acrylic. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah. So we're starting to see a lot of customers, again, since this is something that we're going to have to live with for a couple of months, we're starting to see these shields they're starting to be branded, like with a company logo, whether it be for a soft drink company or for a pharmacy that the medicine, and these brands might even be willing to sponsor those shields for their customer. We just saw I think it was one of our panelists was talking about the designs in hair salons. So that we see like brands of products sponsoring this type of products for their customer and their client base.
Yeah,
we're also starting.
We can open
to see.
Sorry, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah. I was also mentioning there's a customer of ours who's also using his UV printer on stuff he's cut out with the lasers on the shield, and also branding them as well. So again, I think we're going to start to see a lot of that.
Yeah, my question was going to be for the panel. Have you seen that in the market? Have people been approaching you asking to put their brands on these kind of PPE?
Yeah, most definitely. We put our brand on a lot of stuff that we make that we give out for free, so that if people come across it secondhand, they know where they can get more. And we do all of our stuff as donations, but I also make like ear savers and things like that. And we put our brand on that just so that, we're sending out 100 or 1,000 of those to a hospital. And if people want to get more, it just makes it easy for them to know where to find it. So it makes sense to do that.
So if you see, I guess, if you see it drying up a little bit, do you see yourself approaching these kind of bigger brands and saying, we can do a big sponsorship? I don't know, let's say if it's hairdressers, you can have a sponsorship for hair products or something like that. So you would approach the hair product company, let's say L'Oreal or whoever, and you say, okay, well, we can make these thousands of these shields for, in Canada, we have these hair salons that are franchises. So you could approach franchises with this kind of partnerships. Do you see that happening in the not so distant future?
It's already happened. Yeah, we've had
Okay.
I've had multiple people contact me and say, "Hey, can you we love this. Can you put our logo on it?" Sure. If you place a big order, we'll be happy to customize it for you.
Very cool. If you guys, again, outside of the panel, if you want to jump back in, just put it in the chat if you have something to add. So this question is from Laser Tattoo, one of our customers in Germany. Hey, Stefan. So the situation requires PPE products, and it's great to so many help. My question would be, how far do you think this market for the future, will it be a basic business or will it be temporary? So I guess that's a question on everyone's minds, is how long do you guys see this, not just coronavirus? I mean, even if the coronavirus is over, do you see the market shift more towards, personal protective equipment and the shields in front of office spaces and all that kind of stuff?
I mean, I can't speak for
Yeah, sorry.
Go on,
Carry
Reno.
on, Jerry. No, I just, as I said, I think the world is going to change. It's changed already, and the way people think and how they, socially interact, I think is certainly going to change. It'll never be the same again. So I'd like to think that if this has taught us anything, it's taught us that possibly potentially we need to be a little bit cleaner and in how we live our lives and how we operate from a day-to-day basis. And a simple little thing like the door opener, a little tool like that. I've personally always had an issue going into public spaces and whether it be a bathroom or whatever, opening doors, and I quite like that device, and I think a lot of people might be the same. But being in each other's spaces, I think this equipment's here for quite some time, in my opinion. Whether the virus is this pandemic is finally rooted out or not, I think it's going to change the way people think to a large extent.
I agree on that, and I would say that biggest problem with the virus is that it's not just a temporary thing. There's a lot of studies coming out saying that this causes permanent damage and decrease in lifespan if you catch it. Even if you're asymptomatic, it can cause damage that's unseen, and knowing that, it's going to cause a lot of people to become a lot more precautionary, just like Rima was saying. So I think for a long time until until science can prove otherwise, it's going to be a situation people need to be precautious about.
Sorry, and just covering it from not being a business and actually being a makerspace who just serves the community. I think it needs to be applauded that so many people have come together collaboratively just to help out with designs in the first instance. Usually people are easy to first to capitalize on certain types of things, but a lot of what we're seeing today is people offering their services free, whether it's cutting things or assembling things for their local communities and the greater world. Certainly in Philip's case, what he's doing is to be applauded.
Absolutely.
For sure. Stefan, you wanted to add something?
Well, I think with I would say that I got a simple answer to that question. I think it is right now. It is a temporary stuff. It is a temporary item that definitely we're going to add on to our product offering. But I think when the day they're going to find a vaccine, all those stuff is going to disappear. Because right now, everybody's who say have interaction with customer or employee, they need like a face shield or they need a sneeze guard. But the day they're going to find a vaccine, my humble opinion, those products is going to disappear eventually.
I think that's a good point. I mean, in terms of the vaccine, but I know there's different coronaviruses out there. I mean, SARS was a coronavirus. So, I mean, what's to stop the next coronavirus? Let's say they find a vaccine for SARS, for this COVID-19. I mean, will they still have these kind of protectionary shields to some minimum degree? I mean, can the world really... can they handle another kind of pandemic like this, 10 years from now? So do you guys see that? That's a good point I think Stefan's making. If we have a vaccine, let's say tomorrow, do you see it still change and affect production for PPE?
I mean, you see a bifurcation here in the States already, as to people who think that it's fine to go back out and aren't worrying about it, and then there's a lot of people who are just being extremely precautious. I think that there's going to be a higher level of awareness moving forward now that we've seen what has occurred, with less precaution. So I think there's going to be a little bit more of a carefulness around the globe to try to prevent something like this from happening again.
We don't want to face another pandemic. Honestly, it's I think the world can't afford to get a second pandemic. Yeah. So, but if it's happening, in the worst case, if it's happening, we're going to be more prepared, more ready to face the another pandemic. For those PP, those face shield and protective and stuff like this. So. Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah.
This was actually a good question. How long can a face shield be used for, and how to maintain the life expectancy of a face shield? So I'll see if I'm going to bring Hans here from Honduras. I mean, you've had a lot of experience with these face shields. First of all, were you guys testing different face shields? And Like, did they break? Or, I mean, can you guys kind of talk about that?
Well, it all depends on the material we're using, right? Let's see. This one, it's a polycarbonate. These are very strong. They last a long time. We have no issues with it. Now, the acrylic ones, especially the ones that of the crown,
Yeah.
Trotec made the design, right? Those medics tend to break them since they don't know how to put them correctly, so they're just like pulling them away and they snap. But for people who know how to put it on their heads, it really works for them. And they're very grateful that we're making this for hospitals and for individuals, right?
No, that's perfect. Yeah, actually, just to comment on that, Trotec didn't make those designs. We took that from a design in Thingiverse, and we rearranged it a little bit and reposted it for people to use. But yeah, you're right. I think that acrylic, that's why we kind of made the second and third design where the whole thing is made out of one sheet. I guess anybody else have any comments for that? I mean, is it easier for the strap to be 3D printed? Go ahead, Philip, sorry.
Yeah, we've gone through a number of iterations and materials, and there's a lot of materials. PETG for the clear sections of the shields is great, and we make replacements for those to send out to hospitals if they need them, because they'll, over time, just cleaning them will cause them to fog up. But making the bands out of different materials, depending on what you use, some of them can go in the autoclave, so you can just put those in there and then it can be cleaned easily. Acrylic, as was mentioned, cracks with alcohol, so that's troublesome. PETG is easier to clean, so material science is really important here. But the shields that we make are designed to be used for weeks to months, as long as they're cleaned properly. And when they need replacements for the clear sections, we will send those out. So that's the goal for us because of the shortage.
Remo, you wanted to add something to that?
Yeah. I would agree with the PET materials. I think it's more cost effective as well, and you can replace it on a regular basis. So if your design has a clip-on, system, then that works really well. I mean, I also took that same one that Trotec advertised on this thing, the Thingiverse site, and I adapted it to what would work best for us, because everybody's head's a different size. And I think the reason some of these designs are breaking is because, the first one I made, I put it on my head and I went to the next person and it fell down to their shoulders, and I was like, oh, hang on. Okay, so we have a problem. So we changed it totally, and we used, it looks a little bit weird, but it actually works really well for us, the way we do it. But it just makes it more custom for each individual head.
Yeah, and I saw you guys are actually using the tire wraps, or what are they called?
Correct.
Yeah, I've never seen that. That's great, actually.
That is a nylon, cable tie. So you've got two cable ties. The one will go over the bridge of the top of your head, so it prevents it from slipping down. And then you can. I've kept the hooks on the end of it so that you can still use an elastic band, but the other one goes around your head, and it's.
That's very smart. Yeah,
you'll take it off and on as a cap, as you would with a cap anyway. So, and cable tie costs next to nothing. So if you need to replace those, it's really nothing. I think from that perspective, to answer that person's question, I guess if it should last quite some time. If all you're replacing is the visor section, then it's quite cost effective to maintain moving forward.
We offer the crown version in two different versions. We offered it in the original one, the acrylic one, 5mm or 6mm, but they're so easy to break. When you drop it on the floor, it's easy to break. So we made a newer version, and it's much cheaper. It's made at the MDF 3mm.
Oh, really? Wow.
Exactly. It's much faster on the laser machine. It's more economic to produce it. And customer, honestly, from the feedback that we have with the customer, they prefer the MDF because it's with the acrylic, when you're cutting the edge of the acrylic, it's a little bit sharp. So it's bothered the customer the user after a couple of hours that they carry that crown version. But the MDF, it's so light and it's almost unbreakable. So
is that MDF not considered porous in any way, though?
Porous.
Like it? You mean it could absorb sweat or something like that?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm assuming, but we don't have any complaint on all.
Okay, now.
On all.
And are you, Stefan? Are you
yeah.
giving those to medical facilities or non-medical?
Well, we're selling to the reseller. We don't know where that's going to end up. Yeah, exactly. So.
Sorry, if I can just add, I think one of the key things is communication, because what we found was originally when we started producing these face shields, we could either provide them flat packed or assembled, and obviously the time that it took for us to assemble them was a big consideration, because we had to take them off site, get someone to assemble them, then bag them up effectively as a quarantine period, which at the moment we're running as a minimum of 3 days, but try to extend it as long as possible before we share them with other people. But I think that the key thing here is really communication. If you're going to get anything out to anybody, you need to make it as easy as possible for them to understand how to put it together, how to wear it, how to look after it. And the better information you provide with the individual units, the longer the lifespan of that unit's going to be. And I was just fortunate enough the other day when I just purchased myself a new 3D printer to actually get one of the Prusa face shields in with the actual printer kit. And just the delivery mechanism for that is fantastic. It comes in a sleeve. It's all pretty sterile to the end user. It's ready to be opened. The plastic covering to be taken off the Petchy visor and assembled within seconds. So I think really communication. If you're going to get anything out there, focused on who is going to be using it, what their knowledge of this thing might be, because they may have never seen one, have seen one before, or understand how to put some flat pack design together. So if you can stick QR codes on there, or if you can stick website links or anything where people can really just get information as to how to put them together or look after them.
Perfect. Go ahead, Philip.
Yeah, I want to say that's an amazing point, because we ship out a lot of the Prusa design shields. So we include instructions with each one to say, here's how you put them together, peel off the cover off the PETG. This isn't blue, it's clear, but has a covering on it. And we also do include QR codes, as you were mentioning, to have video to show you how to put things together. And that makes a huge difference, because, you could break one of these or whatnot, or people might not know.
You just put it as a sticker label on top of each?
We always pack them in multiple quantities, 10 or 50. So we just include 2 or 3 pieces of paper that give you instructions how to do each thing. And there's a QR code in there, so you don't have to type in these URLs to get to the videos. So that makes it a lot simpler. And on the flat pack thing, we spent some time speaking with Apple, and that was a big factor in the face shields that they created, to have something that was very low on assembly, but also that they could ship worldwide, to get out to places like Africa and India, far away, without having these massive boxes. Flat pack made a huge difference. So being able to push those out, there's a couple models that will work with our face shields with these same hole designs, but are just PETG bands that clip together. So at certain points, if we ran out of headbands, we could just laser cut some more of those PETG sheets, and they would fit together exactly like this. I don't have one in here, but I have one in my other room, and they work pretty well. So there's been a lot of cool, developments coming out of the maker community and the sharing. It's been great.
Yeah, for sure. Sorry, Mario, your microphone's off. Oh,
sorry. I was just adding to what Philip was saying. It's quite impressive how all these designs have been evolving. And they're evolving very fast. Obviously, given the demand. So it's very cool to see all the designers putting their head together and working together and coming up with innovations.
Yeah, that's essentially, what Trotec was trying to do, is just open up and get designs. And I should tell everyone, I'll put the links from each website that we mentioned here later on, once the video goes public. Well, once we stop the video, and it'll be on our YouTube channel. I'll put that in the description section for anybody that wants to share more designs. We can put that on here as well. I think we're going to keep going with this webinar. There's lots of questions coming in, but I promised I don't want to take people's times away from the panelists. I know everyone's very busy. So if you have to go, by all means, you're free to go. Thank you for your time. I think we'll spend another maybe 20 minutes, half an hour going through people's questions. I think it's a good discussion. So I just wanted to give people a chance if they need to go to do so. I think this is actually a very good question from John. How does a business change from providing free items for first responders to selling to a business? I've seen some businesses shamed on Facebook for putting a price on ear savers, etc. Have you guys, do you guys do both? Does anyone here on the panel do both, sell and provide free equipment?
I do. I have, I sell ear savers separately, but I also give them away with everything that I do. So I have them on a site that they can purchase, if they need more. But if you're a medical, frontline worker or something like that, I send them for free. So I know there's a lot of people in the world that are wearing masks now, and people want to have access to ear savers. And I think the ones that I've designed are really nice and comfortable. So, I keep them at an incredibly low price just to cover my costs. But, it is something that I do.
Yeah, I think we've been doing that with the hearts that we published last week, where we would give them for free to medical staff, but people around Canada can donate. So it'll cover our costs. So if you want to donate 100 ear savers, it'll basically cover our costs, then we'll send it to the hospital or medical staff that you're looking for. So that's interesting. Sorry, Matthias, you wanted to jump in about this question or something that we talked about before?
For the before, yeah. I had a question to the guys. The big problem is that the PETG is sold out, at least in large parts of Germany, but also think in other countries too. How are you all doing at the moment? That's
a great question.
We actually didn't go with PETG for the reason that it was actually hard to come by, and then we had to, laser cut it, which would add to our production time. So what we actually decided to do was to try and find something that more people would have access to. So initially we went for PVC sheets that you would get for reinforcement binders and things. And then those could just be used with a hole punch, so that you would get provided one with the kit and you could use it. But long term, to look after something like that, it could get easily scratched. You could just buy a pack of PVC sheets that you get from a stationary supplier and a hole punch, and effectively remake the visors, the screens yourself. So that's just looking at an alternative method that where everyone has access to a product that they can actually use to fix their screen if need be.
Yeah, okay.
And I just wanted to ask that for Hans. How is the PETG supplies in Latin America, for example, or how do you guys deal? Well, you talked about acrylic. You have unlimited supply, but do you need anything else? And then how do you guys deal with shortages?
Yeah, well, PET materials here in Central America are very rare. Almost only the big factories that make like Coca-Cola and Pepsi are the ones who use those materials. But anywhere else, it's very, very hard to find the PET materials, right? And another thing that's very, how do you say it in English? Like low supply.
Yep.
It's the rubber bands that you use to make these shields. Everyone's buying them because everyone's fabricating masks and stuff like that. So those are very scarce here in Honduras.
Yeah, and sorry, go ahead, Philip. Go ahead.
I was going to say we ran out of PETG at the beginning of April, and it's been very scarce in the United States. All of the suppliers cut it off and were making face shields themselves. So it became difficult to get. So we had to reach out to a number of companies. I've called every company in the Southeast trying to see if they have it, thermoforming companies. And we found a bunch that were sitting in warehouses that we were able to get because those companies had it stockpiled. We've also had a number of our groups get in contact with larger companies, as you mentioned, like Coca-Cola, who have donated large rolls of PETG for people to use. So, it's cool to see some of those larger companies helping out. Elastic bands, I have a connection for elastic bands. They are the buttonhole style. So if you need that, I can get that over to you after the.
Yeah, that was actually the idea why we made the band out of that same material, because I actually try to look for elastic bands and I realized you can't find them anywhere. So I like Remo's idea with the tie wraps. I think those you can get those more than elastic bands. Sorry, Jackson, you wanted to come in and comment?
Yeah. In the first weeks, the stores were closed. We had no access for other suppliers to get the elastic bands. Then we used it in the first project, rubber for money, this rubber, no? Small rubber.
Yeah.
Then after that, like this one. No? After that, we developed.
Sorry, can you show that to the camera a little bit?
Oh.
Yeah.
Can you see no? This bands? But it looks like a poor product, and I don't know the reaction using alcohol to clean it up. Then we developed this new one using PETG, the same plastic used for the shield, like this way for using accordingly.
Yeah.
But as this is thin material, normally it breaks if people do this many times. So we had this first material. This is PP. PP is very cheap material, easy to cut at laser, and this is the material we are using nowadays.
PP. Do you know the full word? What is it? Polypropylene. Okay.
And we have very good luck because PETG sheets are produced in my city. Then it was not hard to have access for this material. The problem was acrylic, because we have factories of acrylic in Brazil, but the long distances made it very difficult to receive the material in time. Then answering John Johnson that asked about donating and after charging clients to supply the materials, this was exactly the reason we started charging clients. We started to sell because our stock of products was over. We had to buy it, and the exchange rate grew a lot last 2 months. So we had to buy with very expensive new prices. So we had the obligation to start selling. But the people here didn't create problems. They accepted because we have a very low margin, because the intention is to sell a lot for everyone to be protected.
That's interesting. And sorry, Jonathan and Philip, you guys were commenting that PP is good. Have you guys used that as well?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so we just use polypropylene exclusively for all the visor shields that we're making, just because it's quite durable. It's easy to clean with alcohols, not really causing too much damage. And then because we have the replaceable PVC shields, they're easy to come by. So in reality, that you can keep the thing for a long time. It is very heavy on the laser. So for anyone who's going to think about doing those kinds of things, you certainly want to make sure that your maintenance on your machine is definitely ramped up. But it's a very good material to use. We don't tend to have too much problem getting it, actually, compared to some of the other things. So in the UK, polypropylene is actually quite easy to come by in sheets.
Sorry, Philip, you wanted to add to that?
Oh, I didn't, but we do use polypropylene for some of our injection molds, which is great because a lot of times it's really easy to sterilize. So it's a good material, yeah. Sorry,
Stefan, if you want to speak a little bit louder, because people were having issues hearing, I think, with your microphone. You mentioned clear vinyl used in RV.
Well, we test the clear, what they call a clear vinyl. It's approximately the same that Jonathan was talking about, the page protector. The page protector, they call it in Quebec, they call it the real acetate. But we test the clear vinyl in the 7 mils and 9 mils, and it's work, and it's cut fast. It's cut fast with the laser. The problem is the vision. I would not give that to a doctor or surgery, but for people who don't need that precision, that could work. But again, when we were ready to place an order to make a couple of thousand of those use that material, the guys ran out of stock because somebody's got the guys was approached, at the same time that we approached them, and he sold all the stuff. So, but it could do the job as long as it's not in the hand of a doctor or surgery. So.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we've seen a lot of the designs, especially coming from Prusa, are standardizing around the hole punch model. So you can take transparency sheets and use standard hole punchers to work with the headbands, which has been great for doctors in the field that just didn't have time to send a message and wait a week because all the shipping right now is so terrible. So, if they have somebody that can run out to Office Max and pick up a set of transparency sheets, that'll keep them covered until the higher quality stuff cuts in. So the designs that do center around the standard hole punches for the EU or the US or wherever are really great for that reason.
Sorry, Mario, you had a question as well for the panel?
Yeah, obviously the demand for these products is quite high, and again, we've seen the common denominator between all of you guys here is the shift that's happened between either being a stamp maker or a sign maker, now shifting to manufacturing PPE. So how has your staff in your offices, in your companies, how have they reacted to this? I mean, I've seen cases where you have the administrative personnel pitching in and helping out making these products. How have they reacted to all this?
It's a new product for them. Kind of a new product, we train one the girl who's in charge of the production in the back. She's a lady, since she's been with us for the last 25 years. When she was rehired, because we got enough job, in the stamp and engraving, we also told her that we show her how to make those PPE. She was kind of a surprise, that we can do that kind of product, for the pandemic. So, but they're reacting well. They're just curious about the flame or the fume that the PET is making. They're just a bit scared about the toxicity about that fume. So other than that, it's another product that we're just giving them to produce.
Yeah. Because, for example, Stefan, we have many customers that again are stamp manufacturers, and these customers, some of their customers might be hospitals or doctors or banks or whatever that need all these PPE products. So then they're seeing a demand, or they have the customer who they can reach with this product, or you have trophy manufacturers who might have one of their customers might be like a local government entity or a local business, and they're looking at providing other services to them. So there is a lot of opportunities out there.
Jackson, you wanted to add to this?
Yeah, in my case, all the team was involved. All of them donate their time and the ideas, because laser means flexibility. With a laser system, the time is proven, you can do anything having a laser equipment. Then my people working on their houses, they sent ideas and they work it for free for the company and for the community, and it was good. It improved the team. We are stronger now because everyone helped to achieve the result of donating these masks for the local hospitals. It was great for us.
Yeah, in the US, it allows your company to move into an essential status, and that makes a big difference for people to be able to keep their workers working and keep them from going crazy being stuck at home. But that really helps a lot.
Sorry, Jonathan, go ahead.
I was just going to say, obviously, we're being a makerspace with such a variety of different members. we actually noticing that there's a shift on. So at the moment we've got people producing visors and things, but we've also realized that with our laser we can really quickly cut cotton patterns. So I don't know, Lev, if you can pull up the picture of the face mask that I sent you. So what we're looking at now is actually a second wave of offerings to people, which are these effectively these sewn cotton face masks. So
this one right here.
Yeah. So they are face masks that actually produce that you can slide filters into that have a fixed nose bridge that actually hug the face really well. And this wasn't really initially something we even thought about doing with our laser, but it can just cut the patterns really, really quickly. So we're chucking cotton under the laser, and then we've actually used some of the funds that we've raised through a Just Giving site to purchase additional sewing machines that we send out to our community who are obviously based at home, and we laser cut all the face masks in the makerspace, bundle them up, and then send them out to people in their home with the sewing machine, and they get to work and crack on with face masks. So
have you guys, speaking of face masks, actually, that's a great point. Have you guys seen any cut designs that are like from one cut laser that you don't need sewing machines? I've seen that on the web. I don't know if anybody's seen it or tried it. Obviously, it's not as comfortable. Maybe something that's sewn together. But if you can make these, this is actually something that we've been experimenting with. We talked to a fabric, one fabric manufacturer, and he told me that countries that are producing N95 materials, not just China, but out of Europe, I don't know if the situation is different now. This was maybe a few weeks ago, where they don't export N95 materials because they need all that stuff within that particular country. So now all the other countries are trying to produce their own N95, and this fabric here, N95, he was telling me that would block 95% of not bacteria or whatever, I guess 95% of bacteria, and this fabric would be 90% bacteria. So it's better than people put scarves and cotton on their faces. So I just want to open the discussion to that.
Yeah, sorry. Just like the cotton face masks are actually they do have HEPA filters.
Oh, they do. Okay.
Inside, yeah. So the HEPA filters we actually get from a byproduct of cutting up products that belong to the vacuuming range. So one of these vacuum bags can be produced or split up to make 15 face shields like that. Yeah. The nice thing about using.
Sorry, do you guys use the vacuum bags, or do you get the materials for the vacuum bags?
We use the HEPA filter that comes as a filter for the vacuum system.
Wow.
To then actually slide between the sheets of cotton to then add the kind of the blocker, if you like. The nice thing about these is you can also just you can sanitize them really easily by chucking them in the washing machine. So once you want to kind of sanitize it, you don't have to worry about taking it home, rubbing it down with copious amounts of alcohol. You can get home, chuck it in the washing machine, and maybe grab another one so that while your other one's drying, you have something to go. But certainly in the UK, there's going to be a massive demand for this kind of PPE going forward. So we're not focusing on people who are necessarily in a surgical environment, but everyone walking around in the street who needs to get on a bus, who needs to get on a train, are going to need face masks. But again, the most important thing here really is just about communication and education. How can you make these things easily from things that you have in your home? How can you look after them, and certainly how can you wear them properly? Because the amount of people I've seen walking around with face masks that aren't even really helping them in any way, because they're on their chin or below their nose. So any kind of education you can provide with your product is just really essential.
This is actually a good question here. What materials are you using for ear savers? So in Canada, at least, we're using our Trolets ADA. You can use any Trolets. I mean, this is going to be advertising for Trotec, but if you go to any consumables, Trotec consumables website in Canada, it's engraving-supplies.ca, for example. You can find all different kinds of plastics, Trolets plastics. Even if you Google Trolets, this is the Trotec plastics. And the Trolets ADA is 1/8 inch and 1/16 is a pretty sturdy material. It might not be as good as 3D printed. 3D printed might be stronger. So I'll open that question up to the panel. What have you guys been using for ear savers, or what do you recommend?
I personally use PETG. I use the scraps from the face shields. So I have enough left over that I can just use PETG, and it's great because it's easily cleanable, it's flexible, but it's rigid enough to hold those ear bands. And it's really lightweight. Everybody said it's pretty comfortable. But I think the most important part that it's really easily cleanable, which is where a lot of people ran into issues with 3D prints.
Which thickness of the PET you using?
0.25 is a good one. You can go down as low as like 0.15 is pushing the limits. It's like 15 mil, but anything I'd say between 0.20 and 0.35 are probably good thicknesses to do ear savers out of.
Thanks.
Jackson, you wanted to add to that?
Yeah, here we produce it in ADA from Trotec, and in fabric too.
Oh, and you produce it out of fabric?
In fabric with 2 buttons in both sides, and people use it like.
Oh, interesting. Very cool. I've lost that question actually, but I saw a question earlier on the difference between PET and PETG. I don't have we have a really awesome person named Bianca out of our manufacturer out of North Carolina. And she actually answered that question for me, but I don't remember what she said. So do you guys know the difference between PET and PETG?
I do. The G is a glycol, and it allows for more crystallization of the material. So it's great for thermoforming applications. If you're making bottles and stuff like that, it holds its shape a little bit better than the PET.
Yeah, go ahead, Jackson.
Yep. In the application, PETG is much better because it's more clear and more hard. Don't scratch so easily like PET. If you scratch something produced in PET, the virus can go inside, and it's hard to clean it. Then better using PETG, much better. And PET normally come in rolls. And there is a memory effect. You cut it by laser or in other way, and it start doing an angle not desired.
I was going to ask. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, we were told that don't use the PETG on the laser machine because it's one of the component on that material. It's really toxic for the employees or anybody who's going to breathe that fume, and it's also bad for the machine because it's going to corrode your machine. That's where we're been told for that. For the last 25 years that we use a laser. We don't never cut PETG. PET yes, but no PETG. So
I think you're thinking PVC because it's the C in PVC, which releases chlorine, which will damage your machine.
But in the PETG, I think there's some chlorine. That's
I haven't heard that to be honest, Stefan.
No? Okay.
No, I can't confirm or deny that, but I haven't heard specifically issues with the PETG. I would agree with Jackson. It's it's something sturdier. But I mean, for example, we sell PET 0.007, and then we also like in the U.S. and Canada, and then we sell what's called impact acrylic. So it's not PET, but it has a similar kind of component in terms of protection. At different thicknesses. Has anybody been using impact acrylic for the front of the face mask? We even have a impact acrylic that's almost 3 mil, almost 1/8, that we are trying to start selling for the dividers. No, nobody for impact acrylic.
It's interesting. I'd like to try it. I don't have any, but I might.
Yeah, if you contact Trotec in the U.S., they are selling it. I know for a fact they're selling the impact acrylic and the PET 0.07, and they do come in different thicknesses. So if you want to reach out to the guys in Michigan, they can definitely help.
Yeah, I'll definitely do that. Thank you.
Awesome. Okay, so I guess, I mean, there's tons of questions. I think we'll end it there. It's just it just keeps going and going in terms of questions that I have. Maybe one more. I've had a couple of people asking about the cleaning. You know, if you can clean it with alcohol or bleach or anything like that. Can you guys comment on that in terms of what kind of cleaning products you can recommend? Go ahead, Jonathan.
Yeah, so I mean, I can only speak from the polypropylene. It can take you know, alcohol wipes quite easily, and then obviously the PVC that we're using for the front screens, which come from the ring reinforcement binders, effectively. The easiest way to clean those is with 10% bleach, you know, 10 to 1, well, 1/10 bleach and the rest water. But just don't use anything that's too abrasive. So the first thing someone's going to, you know, generally go for is some kind of abrasive pad or whatever to start kind of giving it a wipe. But obviously, you know, the scratches is what you're going to end up with there. So yes, it'll be clean, but it'll also be very scratched and won't be very easy to see through. So really just, you know, use something as soft as you can. And, you know, on polypropylene, you can handle the higher volume alcohol wipes and things like that. But certainly on a PVC, you want to go with a, you know, with a 10% bleach and water is our advice.
Awesome. And I guess we can close it off, but I want to ask maybe each person a question, like the same question. You know, I guess what advice would you give new laser users around the world fighting with the COVID downturn? Just before we go, and I'll kind of switch everyone in. I guess we could start with Philip. What kind of advice would you give if you're, you know, if you're a business and you know, you have a laser, you're not doing anything right now, you're thinking of going into PPE, what kind of advice would you give?
I'd say just go for it and start making connections. It makes it really easy when you put yourself out there to meet other people involved and that can help you out. And there's so many ways that you can make cloth masks, the face shields, ear savers. I think that in the future they're probably going to be making even more types of PPE for everyday use. So put yourself out there and you'll start meeting a lot of people in the industry and it'll open a lot of doors for you. That's what's happened with us and it's worked out really well.
Awesome. And Jackson, what about yourself? What kind of advice would you give?
Well, laser for me is the best tool ever. The problem is not all the materials can be produced using a laser machine. For example, like I heard before, chlor and other products cannot be cut by laser. Then pay attention. If you are starting a new project using your laser engraver, please pay attention on the materials. And a good exhaust is important. A good filter or exhaust.
That's good advice. Stefan, what about yourself?
I would agree with Philip, you know, to go outside and make connection. This is, you know, start with your local community, because if you knock on the door like clinic, dentists, you know, a car dealership, you know, they all need those face shield and sneeze guard and stuff like this, you know. And my second advice would, you know, make sure that you use a Trotec to do your stuff, you know. So
that's shameless promotion, but yeah, we didn't pay you to say that. Perfect. Jonathan, what about yourself?
Yeah, I mean, those are all really good points. Just from the, you know, the maker community point of view, I would say, you know, don't think that as an individual, you know, and not being a massive business that's turning over tens of thousands of products, you can't help, because every person has skills that are different, and we've certainly noticed across our community that, you know, people have chipped in many different ways. So we've actually had a desktop laser provided by someone who said, I've got this laser, you know, I do a little bit of cutting at home with some materials. Can you actually use it? And obviously you have to consider, you know, extracts and those kinds of things. But yeah, the main thing is really just try and get involved. There's so many different ways that people, you know, with lasers can help, or, you know, with other forms of technology as well. You know, 3D printing, the 3D printing community, again, is huge. So, you know, just because you print little things at home, don't think you can't print those and contribute towards a bigger collection of people, you know, making a real big difference. So no matter what the tech is, I mean, lasers, I totally agree with Jackson. Laser is one of my favorite things. I probably always will be. But you know, if you don't have a laser, find out how else you can get involved as well.
Awesome. Thank you, Jonathan. Hans, what about yourself? What advice would you give people that are getting into lasers or COVID or fighting COVID?
Well, to support their local people, right? Give them as much support as they can, and try to share with the community the arts, right, from that you use to make these materials. To share their information and materials to help everyone, right? Get out of this as quickly as possible.
That's great advice. Matthias, what about yourself? What kind of advice would you give? You're a new business, so I mean, what advice would you give other new businesses? Oh, sorry, I think I muted you. My mistake. Go ahead.
No problem. It is really short. Follow your goals. Be there for customers. Use social media. Customers show what they can do, and leave the customers their own ideas.
That's a great point. I think, especially now, social media is crucial. Finding those connections and those customers. No, that's a great advice. And finally, Remo, any advice would you give to the world?
Yeah, I've got a few ideas, and the first one would be is have the connections that Hans has in terms of being able to get material. I think that certainly will help the most. But you know, jokes aside, I think keep your designs as simple as possible, because that'll obviously speed up time on the laser. So you can produce, you know, the items quickly. Try and ensure that you have stock, because the person that actually has stock of whether it be material or as the finished item is actually the person that's got the best price. You know, they're the most competitive, because because people just don't have stock in South Africa for that matter anyway. And then also try and maximize the use of the material that you do have. I've used, you know, acrylic for the headpiece, and there's lots of leftover pieces, and I've turned a lot of them into key rings, you know, and I'm going to try and customize them and possibly donate them to blood transfusion services. You know, people that donate, you know, X number of pints of blood, and then O positive or AB positive or whatever their blood group happens to be, and, you know, try and engrave that on them for, you know, just for future use, or, you know, put people's names on them. You know, maybe that's another thing that you sell key rings. I don't know. Anything, absolutely anything. So you maximize every little piece of material that you can get, because the material is quite scarce and it's actually quite expensive at the end of the day. So, you know, use that full piece of you know, acrylic that you have for other add-ons.
Perfect. Thank you so much. And Mario, I guess as our co-host, what you've been around lasers for a long time. What kind of advice would you give people?
Well, I think what our panelists have mentioned is very interesting. I'd recommend definitely if you're getting into a laser business. Obviously, this is a time where we need to watch out for the money we invest. So invest in the proper laser. If you do have a laser, invest in the maintenance plans. Be sure to give maintenance and clean your machine, and follow the proper procedures on how to operate it, and clean the lens and the mirrors, all the essential parts that you've known. Also, regarding the business, I definitely recommend think outside the box. It's not only regarding the PPEs. To think of what's going to happen to what's coming out business-wise. We're seeing a lot of online business shops that are opening now. So see that as an opportunity. Set up your shop online. You can start out a small business. Everyone that's here is an entrepreneur, and the laser has that entrepreneurial spirit. So take advantage of that, and most important, everyone stay safe.
Perfect. That's great finishing words, to stay safe. And again, we went 40 minutes over, so I apologize to the panel. I wanted to do it for an hour, but obviously I think we could talk for hours and hours on the subject, but I guess we'll cut it there. I want to thank you, everyone, so much for being part of this process. Everyone at Trotec from around the world that got us these great customers to talk about their experience. I want to say thank you from all of us. And from Trotec, we want to thank our customers and everyone who's watching. like I said, I'll post all the links in the description. If you guys have more questions for the gentlemen in the panel, or you want to see what they're doing, I'll post all the links on the video description. And thanks so much for watching. And stay safe out there.
Dave, thanks, and great meeting everyone. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Ciao.
Thank you. Thank you.
Bye.